on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Boy, howdy, what a weekend of news it was. It's 5:06 now on O'Connor and Company, and we're right where we belong, July 14th. Good morning. Thanks for starting your week with us. At 7:05, Joe DeGeneva. Better just lock him in for the whole hour at this point with everything going on. Definitely half an hour with Joe DeGeneva. 8:05, Stuart Whitson running for that special election for Virginia 11. And he's got big momentum right now. 8:35, Susan Crabtree on the anniversary of the assassination attempt of Donald Trump 1 year ago. Yesterday, our world was rocked, and Susan Crabtree continues to break news at the Secret Service. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor, and look who's back where she belongs. Honestly, a tear to my eye with Julie Gunlock right there. Hey, Julie.
Good morning. So
Welcome
glad to be
home.
back.
Why do you go to Florida in July? What are you thinking, woman? That's where you go in January, not July.
I learned my lesson. Never again.
I understand the mosquitoes are the size of elephants.
I reported to you halfway through my vacation and said, "Why am I here? Why?
Yes.
What?"
I thought you were just missing me, but it turns out it was.
There was a little of that. I will admit.
The heat, humidity, and mosquitoes were pretty much all you need.
It was funny too because our executive producer Heather grew up in Florida, and her only response to me was like, "I've told you, Julie. I've warned you. I've warned you repeatedly about Florida."
It's hilarious. You and Patrice both decided to take your vacation, first of all, at the same time, and both down in Florida.
Really? Oh gosh!
She was in Tampa. What fair swamp city were you in?
Saint Augustine. Beautiful.
You were on the other side. You were down there with Joe. You know, Joe DeGeneva lives in St.
I know.
Augustine.
We got to talk about that with him today.
Yeah, we got nothing else to talk about.
Right. I know you're not going to let me ask him a question about it. Anyway, great time, great food, lots of Cuban food. It was delicious.
Yeah,
yes,
those. You know what? I'm a big fan of the plantains. The way they cook their plantains.
Yes,
that's
yes.
hard to resist. I know it's a carb load, but God, they're good.
I'm feeling a little heavy this morning, but it was worth it. It was a great vacation. Nice to be with the family, and it was just really fun. Really, despite the heat. Look, there's air conditioning. So I stayed in.
Were you able to follow the news while you were gone?
I will admit that you're going to have to do a lot of talking today because I'm a little out of it. I kept up with a little bit, but
well, I know that you were yes. Well, we will.
I will admit I did tune into the show a little bit.
Were you plugged into the Alligator Alcatraz story as it opened? I mean, that's a big Florida story, right?
Yes, of course. How could you?
So this is one of the local reports they did of one of the inmates. By the way, they're all suffering. We heard Debbie Wasserman Schultz did her own investigative report down there as a congresswoman, toured the place and then talked to the media, and she said, "I can't believe these bathrooms. They have to brush their teeth where they poop." I'm like, I'm sorry, it's called a bathroom. Don't we all? But does she have a special room just to brush her teeth?
Yeah, we just did it this morning.
Thank you.
I suffer that every day. I'm sorry. Where does she live?
Am I in a prison camp or something?
Yes.
It's called a bathroom. I love the Debbie Wasserman Schultz when she's giving a tour of her house. And this is the toothbrushing room. And this is the face washing room. And this is the hand washing room. What is going on in that house? This is the elite. We all brush our teeth where we poop.
That's right. That's just.
And then, of course, they interviewed one of the inmates and used a translator, and he brought us this report, if we could, Jeff, cut one on the mosquitoes in Florida.
The mosquitoes, he says, are the size of elephants.
Which this is what I imagine you were dealing with on your vacation.
A little bit.
That's called Florida. So mosquitoes the size of elephants and brushing your teeth where you poop. You basically vacationed in Alligator, Alcatraz.
Yeah, exactly. And I survived. I don't understand why, Debbie, this all shocks Debbie. Yeah, Florida's hot. It's humid. There are big mosquitoes. There are alligators. And bathrooms are designed so that you poop and brush your teeth in the same place. None of this was news.
And by the way, she is the congresswoman from Florida, so you would think that maybe she should spend some time in the sunshine.
That'd be nice.
Elephants the size, or mosquitoes the size of elephants. Elephants the size of mosquitoes would be really impressive. That's something I want to see.
Now that would be news.
Yeah. So you haven't been up to speed on the well, I know you followed some stories because I'm not going to lie to our great listeners here at WMAL. A lot of text messages flying back and forth between the entire team here over the blow-up this weekend between Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi. Well, because Dan Bongino is he's a former colleague. You know, when your fellow, former coworker ends up being such a center of the news cycle, we're all trading messages. So I know you're up to date on that story.
Yes, I am.
Let me get this straight.
Also,
so Dan Bongino has a dispute with one of his higher-ups at his business.
Yeah.
Gets kind of emotionally upset, flies off the handle, screams at a meeting, threatens to quit, and walks off the job. That doesn't sound like him. That seems incredibly out of character. Well, wait a second.
Larry.
Hey, that's what he did when he worked here, too, isn't it?
Next, you're going to bring up UPS, and it'll be a full circle of...
Well, we'll get to the details of that. That seems to be resolved now, and I'm glad. President Trump, you don't say to the president, "Hey, it's either fire that person or fire me." You don't know. You don't do that to any president. You don't serve up an ultimatum.
That might work in some businesses.
It apparently it works.
Sorry.
Yes. Radio's a very different world, I promise you.
Oh, dear.
And you're absolutely right. It does work there. So we'll get to that. And then, of course, the story that hit late yesterday afternoon, which really should be the top story, and frankly, the focus of the FBI and the Justice Department, which would be the criminal use of the AutoPen for pardons under President Biden.
Thank you. Can we focus on things that matter?
Well, we will get to that in a moment. What's in that story is unbelievable. Well, actually, not unbelievable. It's exactly what we predicted.
Oh, exactly.
It's precisely what we predicted. So we've got that. We've got the latest on the pot farm raid. We're all Gavin Newsom is like weeping in a heap on the Florida press conference about these poor people who were rounded up just picking strawberries. No, they were harvesting pot so that your kids can get stoned.
Right.
Over 350 illegal immigrants. They're doing the jobs that Americans just won't do. Yeah, because Americans, generally speaking, don't want to work at a cannabis plantation.
Also, we don't also send our 13-year-olds to work in the fields.
Thank you.
In
the fields to grow pot, let alone strawberries and tomatoes.
Yeah.
This is the latest on that story because it's getting worse and worse. And the people that were rounded up there are absolute horrendous criminals. We have a great critter news story today. We had a shooting at a church in Kentucky, and the suspect looks like a radical Islamic terrorist. I mean, every photograph of him, he's got the keffiyeh. He looks like he could be a professor at Columbia University.
You say he looks like a radical Islamist terrorist. He looks like every college student.
That's right.
That we've seen in the last couple of years.
Or Sacha Baron Cohen doing that.
Yeah, and every child of a wealthy person or a Hollywood star. That's what.
So you're not going to hear much about that. And then we again have the anniversary of the assassination. Oh, we've got all the drama queens at the State Department getting laid off.
Oh my God.
The scene, the parade, and then I think my understanding is they left the State Department in tears and went right back home to your neighborhood. These are all
yes. And I actually tweeted
neighbors.
about this. I said, I'm so glad America is finally seeing what children I live around, that surround me. Yes, they all live in Delray. They're all Delray cat ladies.
So we've got all that. And apparently Elmo is an Antisemite racist. And
that's the story I missed.
Oh, you missed Elmo's racist rant on social media?
Yes.
We'll tell you all about it. It's and you're paying for it because it's government-funded anti-Semitism. Usually we only pay for that at the Ivy League colleges, but no, we're doing it through the Corporation of Public Broadcasting and a cute, fuzzy little red monster named Elmo. That's all coming up. There's a good preview for our next 4 hours.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
New York Times blockbuster yesterday, and the fact that the New York Times has this story and the fact that people from the Biden White House are talking to the New York Times and giving them details on this story, that's part of this story. Now, It's not part that New York Times covers. We will tell you that. We'll fill in those blanks for you because this is huge. The fact that people are telling this story to the New York Times is huge. It means they are in trouble, and they know they're in trouble. They are covering the wagon. They're circling the wagons, and they're trying to cover their butt. But listen to this. New York Times, I'll quote one section here. Mr. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people, he and aides confirmed. Rather, after extensive discussion of different possible criteria, he signed off on the standards he wanted to be used to determine which convicts would qualify for a reduction in sentence. Even after Mr. Biden made that decision, one former aide said the Bureau of Prisons kept providing additional information about specific inmates, resulting in small changes to the list. Rather than ask Mr. Biden to keep signing revised versions, his staff waited and then ran the final version through the AutoPen, which they saw as a routine procedure, the aide said. That's just one part of this story, Julie.
And Larry, if anybody believes that, first of all, that is spin.
That's polishing the turd.
Right.
That's trying to make it sound as good as possible.
This is well, first of all, I guarantee this is a complete lie. It is all made up. It's like, how do we spin this? How do we make it sound like he was a part of it? He was sleeping. Yeah. He was sleeping. I have no doubt that he was not a part of this. And this is exactly what high-level people have come up with to try to spin this to make it seem like Biden was somehow a part of it. Right. I think it's a lie.
If you said, how do you know Joe Biden approved of these pardons? The response of the aides who processed the pardons and used the AutoPens to sign the pardons, they will say, oh, he gave us verbal approval. Verbal approval?
Right.
On mass sweeping pardons? Listen to this. They also showed that the use of the AutoPen was managed by Mr. Biden's White House staff secretary, Ms. Feldman. She wanted to receive written accounts confirming Mr. Biden's oral instructions in the meetings before having it used to produce the warrants recording the clemency actions, the emails show. The aides referred to those written accounts of meetings at which Mr. Biden delivered oral decisions as blurbs. The accounts were drafted by aides to the senior advisors who had participated in the key meetings, like Mr. Biden's chief of staff, Jeff Zients, and Mr. Siskel. The assistants who drafted the blurbs were not themselves in the room with Mr. Biden. According to the list of meeting participants, the emails implied that Mr. Siskel and Mr. Zients relayed what Mr. Biden had said to the assistants, who then documented it. The assistants circulated the drafts to Mr. Siskel, Mr. Zients, and other meeting participants before sending the final versions to Ms. Feldman, again copying the meeting participants. In this entire chain of command, Joe Biden doesn't appear at any point whatsoever. They don't even hand him a final list and said, okay, Mr. President, just sign off on this. Just give us an initial. Anything. Nothing.
Nothing. Then this is also essentially a game of a very high-level game of telephone, where this person told this person, and this person told this person, Yeah, there's no communication risk there.
Which is bad enough, Julie, if you're dealing with a fully functioning, sentient human being.
Right.
But we're dealing with a man whose brains are mashed potatoes, as you coined so cleverly 3 years ago. This is a man who is already out of it, and now we're supposed to believe that he had any kind of understanding here. And by the way, the New York Times has tried to spin this as an exclusive interview with Joe Biden where he confirms, absolutely, I was on top of the Biden and AutoPen thing, the pardon thing. No way. There's no way.
This is incredibly bad. And, of course, who is telling this story largely? It's, Alex Thompson,
right.
Sorry, who wrote the book with Jake Tapper. So, again, they're coming out afterwards, but helping to spin it, trying to soften it, trying to make it sound palatable.
Fauci. How about the Fauci one? January 19th. January 19th was literally the last day Joe Biden was president. Okay. The inauguration was the 20th at noon. January 19th, which took place in the yellow Oval Room of the White House residence, Mr. Biden kept his aides until nearly 10 p.m. to talk through decisions, according to people familiar with the matter. The emails show that an aide to Mr. Siskel sent a draft summary of Mr. Biden's decisions of that meeting to an assistant to Mr. Zients, copying Mr. Siskel at 10:03 p.m. The assistant forwarded it to Mr. Reed and Mr. Zients, asking for their approval, and then sent a final version to Mr. Feldman. 3 minutes later, Mr. Zients hit reply all and wrote, "I approve the use of the AutoPen for the execution of all the following pardons." That included Anthony Fauci. That was at 10:30 p.m., and it was Mr. Zients who said, I approve the use of the AutoPen. Biden, apparently, again, we're told, in the residence at 10 p.m. Didn't he call a lid every day at noon?
Something like that.
So at 10 p.m. on his last day in the White House and his last night sleeping in the White House, he's having a meeting and he's cognizant of all of these things? You'll never make me believe that.
No, of course not.
As Sean Davis at the Federalist says, the White House staff and lawyers are in deep trouble for their AutoPen nonsense. That's the only conclusion you can come to after reading between the lines of this ridiculous New York Times attempt to defend the unprecedented use of the AutoPen. We'll get into more details of that coming up in a few minutes. Well, maybe next hour. There's more. This is going to be something we talk about all day, and certainly with Joe DeGenova at 7:05. Right now it's 5:23.
Making sense of your world.
Talk radio is where I get all of my information.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Coming up, we'll talk about the crybabies at the State Department. And then, is Elmo an anti-Semite? Keep it here. We'll discuss. It's 5:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington. A Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:36 on O'Connor and Company, and we continue a busy news cycle here. Coming up at 7:05, Joe DeGenova will join us. At 8:05, Stuart Whitson, the Republican nominee for the special election in Northern Virginia. And at 8:35, Susan Crabtree on the anniversary of the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. We just breezed through some of the highlights of this New York Times article about Joe Biden's last-minute pardons. Utilizing the AutoPen, names are named, and it appears as though people are trying to cover their behinds, Washington, D.C. style, as, of course, Joe Biden did not personally in any way authorize those pardons. There is no paper trail. You just have Joe Biden's word for it, apparently, where aides just summarized meetings in notes, then sent them to staff and approved them from there. It's remarkable. We'll get to that coming up. Meanwhile, on Friday, Julie Gunlock is here, back from vacation. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning. Glad to be back.
Friday, 1,300 staffers were laid off from the State Department. Now, listen, again, if you're one of those 1,300 people and it affects your life and you didn't see it coming and you didn't prepare and you are sort of left on your heels now, having to deal with figuring out what your next step in life is, I feel your pain. I get it. I work in the entertainment business and the broadcasting business. It happens to people that I know and love all the time. I can't tell you how many people have gotten laid off from this radio station over the course of the 13 years I've been on the air. Mm-hmm. It's a horrible thing. Julie, I know that in your business, layoffs happen all the time, too, in the multiple businesses that you're in and the time that you've worked in Washington, D.C. As this is tragic for each individual, at the same time, there is a reaction here that these federal employees, especially at the State Department, come on. These people are the elite of the elite, and they behave as though this is they're the first people this sort of thing has ever happened to, and it's so unjust. The scenes that you saw at the State Department on Friday when people were leaving after packing up their desks and walking out with these boxes, people crying. There were people cheering them and applauding them. Somebody on a megaphone there on a bullhorn. It's like what the I'm sorry, I don't remember these displays when people lose their jobs on a daily basis in this town, let alone in this country.
It's not just that, it's also the signs that were left behind, these very juvenile signs criticizing the Trump administration, criticizing the actions, and all these like sort of overly emotionally overwrought messages like you made a difference and all this stuff, and just juvenile. Also, were they writing them in crayon? There were several jokes online about that, like how they were, they literally looked like something a 5-year-old would write, and they
last
were
day of
posted
kindergarten.
up.
Yeah.
Yes, and they were posted, and it's just so unprofessional, so juvenile. And this is a reduction. First of all, the State Department got much bigger over the last couple of years by thousands and thousands of people.
Yes.
And then it was reduced. This is such a tiny reduction. And as people have mentioned all over online, this is the real world, folks. Many Americans have to deal with being laid off and don't receive this sort of reaction from the media and from leftist Democrats who think.
You want to talk
the
about
world is
government
ending.
employees laid off? Thousands of members of the military were laid off because they would not take the shot that the government was forcing them to take.
Yeah.
How many businesses got shut down permanently because of the COVID lockdowns? But every single one of these State Department employees were able to work from home for 4 years during the COVID lockdowns. None of them lost their jobs. None of them had to downsize because of it. Again, and we run this risk here in Washington, D.C., doing what we do to sound like we're cold and we're heartless. We're not. But when you walk out the door at the State Department leaving signs up that say resist fascism, I'm sorry, you're telling me that you should have been fired.
Yes.
Here's a little bit of what it sounded like here. First, this guy on the bullhorn who was sort of like rallying the troops. Is there a union there of State Department employees? Is he the union head or something? What
must be?
What is going on here? Anyway, take a listen to him.
And to those that have been riffed, to those that have been fired today, I just want to say I'm sorry. And you have deserved better than this. I think every single person, when you leave this building, you walk through out those doors for the final time, you should do it with honor and dignity. You should not do it out of humiliation and out of this type of weaponization of politics.
What?
You deserve better.
Yeah, I noticed this.
We need that Joan Rivers clip on just autoplay. Like, calm down. Everyone needs to calm down.
History will remember what was lost here, they said. If you say you love freedom but don't care if it applies to everyone, then what you really love is privilege. These are the signs that were left at the State Department.
Yeah.
Resist fascism, as I said. And this one, here sat America's experts on democracy, human rights. Yes, which include women's LGBTQ plus and minorities' rights.
Of course.
Election security, freedom of expression, privacy on countering corruption, violent extremism and disinformation, and more. You've just released them and hundreds of their colleagues into the wild in the United States of America. What does that even mean, released them into the wild?
I don't know. But it is, the thing is that there is a segment of this sort of D.C. bureaucrat who is untouchable in this town, who has been. And this is a reaction. I mean, they are so stunned that they have been let go because, again, there is a segment of the D.C. bureaucracy that just never thought they would ever face this.
I want you to know, if you're a federal employee and you're facing this right now, or you have faced this and you want the sympathy of the American people, then you should hold these people in contempt right now. Because honestly, most Americans see this and they say, oh, fire more. How many more people like this are working in our government? Byron York did a breakdown, by the way, State Department documents. The State Department in 2007 went from 57,000 employees to 2015, 8 years later, 72,000 employees, to 80,000 employees in 2024. So from 2007 to 2024, a span of, what is that, 17 years? It grew from 57,000 employees to 80,000 employees.
Gosh.
And they're losing 1,300, and they're calling it devastating.
And the world is so stable. What did that? What
yeah.
did those employees,
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Great job, guys. Also, on Joe Biden, we mentioned who cried for those that lost their livelihoods during COVID. On his first day in office, Biden shut down the Keystone Pipeline. It put 11,000 people out of work. Was there any New York Times reporters crying about this, or bullhorns screaming at those pipeline workers that they fought the good fight or whatever, fight fascism, whatever. No, nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody cared about those.
Someone on the X platform is telling me that all government employees had to get the shot or lose their jobs, not just military. I recognize that. My point is those who lost their jobs because they didn't get it. They didn't get parades like this. They didn't get the puff pieces. They didn't get people crying and lamenting and doing all of these specials on them. That was my point, sir. It's 5:44. Oh, defund them now. God.
Yes.
So infuriating. Ugh. Sesame Street. As this week the Senate debates whether to accept the president's rescission packages, which would include defunding PBS, something unfortunate happened there yesterday on the X platform. Elmo, or the person who runs the Elmo account, or we're told potentially a hacker that accessed Elmo's account. Either way, I'm not sure. I can only report what I saw. I don't have objective facts to know that this account got hacked. There are reports that the account got hacked. But the point is, Elmo, speaking in Elmo's voice on the X platform, said some pretty bad things. Let me start with this one. Elmo says, should I do it in the voice?
No, you should not do it in the voice.
All right. Elmo says all Jews should die.
Oh, my God.
I think it would be better in the voice.
You know what? Do the voice. Yeah.
No, I can't.
Do the
voice. Then Elmo said, F Jews. Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he's in the Epstein files.
Now you have to do the voice.
Jews control the world and need to be exterminated.
It's so good. Why am I laughing? This is horrible. God.
Release the files, Donald Trump, child effer. Kill all Jews.
That's what Elmo said. Elmo said all of that.
I'm really
I said,
torn. I don't know whether to laugh. I feel so uncomfortable right now.
There's nothing funny about it except that it's Elmo. And
yes, and the fact that you use the voice. This really does tell you a lot about PBS, doesn't it? Who they hire.
That they don't protect the social media accounts of
but
the
exactly. But also they hire absolute monsters. And who does? Who
to be fair, Elmo is a monster.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
you're right.
By definition.
True. But I mean, it really does tell you who runs these social media accounts, right? Generally young people, right?
So you're assuming that the person hired to run Elmo's account just went off the handles and just decided to tweet
Yes,
this.
Larry, because I don't actually think Elmo controls his own account. I don't think.
No, I understand that, but the
Elmo.
suggestion is that some third-party person, someone living in a basement.
No, this is PBS. This is some low-level PBS social media assistant, straight out of Columbia, probably.
Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he's in the Epstein files. Jews control the world.
It's Elmo. It's a problem. Elmo, the beloved children's character. I love the way it's written by post-millennial, who's entertained millions since his inception and debut in 1980. Posted several anti-Semitic messages on Sunday, or at least whoever hacked the Elmo X account did. I love that they're just assuming that it was a hack. I'm with you. I think it's an employee who just flew off the
100%.
handle and decided to just do this. Yeah.
So probably that crazy
the hateful
blonde
posts.
lady.
Well, this is why they think it was a hack, because there were also a bunch of posts promoting a crypto coin, which was dubbed $Elmo. The posts come after the memo from the DOJ and FBI said that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in prison in 2019 and did not have an incriminating client list or blackmailed powerful elites. MAGA loyalists have been demanding answers and more transparency. Oh, so it's a MAGA loyalist who did this?
Right, of course.
Is that the suggestion? Well, to be fair, there is, I believe, an artificial intelligence generated image of Tucker Carlson interviewing Elmo. And the punch of the caption is,
when I said F all the Jews, I really just meant the Zionists.
There you go.
And Tucker then says, fascinating. Now, I don't think that's actually going to happen. I don't think Tucker Carlson is going to be interviewing Elmo to find out what he really meant. And do you mean the Jews or did you mean the state of Israel? Because you can hate the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. You know?
I'm back from vacation.
What,
so
are we not allowed to say that now?
No, I was. No. Hold on. No, I'm just. Has Sesame Street responded? Have they said anything?
No, it just happened late yesterday. I see no official response.
Because they're fine with it, probably.
Anything to push the agenda here before they get out. So what is this? They deleted the accounts and nothing new has been tweeted since January of 2024. Is that what we're saying? Oh, no, that's a pinned tweet. They have deleted it. We don't have anything new since July 12th.
Boy.
So there's no new announcement on the account. Somebody has deleted the objectionable tweets, but they haven't actually said anything and put anything out there.
There's only one thing to be done.
Just a picture of Elmo with a puppy, little puppy puppet saying,
Happy Gotcha Day, Tango. Elmo's so lucky to have a furry friend like you. You're not Jewish, are you?
You're very good at Elmo's voice.
I have
Really
4
sounds
children.
like him. Yes, of course.
La 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 la, la 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 la. We don't celebrate Hanukkah.
Oh, God.
It's going to be a long day.
It is.
All right, it's 5:53.